Let's go to Prince Albert now, and we thank Huntsy for sitting by through the break. Curtis, other than cold, how's life in Prince Albert today?
The sun is always shining in the north. So, it's cold, no wind. It's a beautiful day.
Up in the sticks, absolutely. Curtis, you threw us a curve, I believe, with the acquisition of Max Paddock. I texted you because you just got another goalie in Karki. Can you take us through the last week to 10 days and what led into all your moves at the deadline?
Well, we didn't do a lot. We added, I guess, shortly after Christmas, Matthew Cullen and a little deal with Swift Current. But really, for us, we were looking for a goalie. We had an opportunity to bring in Keegan. We just didn't feel that was a real good fit for our club, and maybe following my gut a little bit. But, John and I had talked maybe a half a dozen times or more from the summer on about the possibility of a deal if there was something for us, keeping in mind we are in the same division. And eventually, I think it just kind of, we found something that we felt both worked for our clubs at our current, where we are right now in our cycle. And we're really excited to have Max on board.
What is it about Max that you like? We're having a bit of an argument here. I said he's 6'5". Our producer Clark says he's no more than 6'2". Let's to that. And hey?
Your sound just cut out there, right?
Oh, sorry. Is Max 6'2", or is he 6'4" or higher? And two, what did you like about him specifically?
Well, there's a couple things. I think Max is about 6'2.5", maybe 6'3". What I really like about him is, if you look consistently at 17, I thought he really did a good job, and he really grabbed the reins for the Pats in that important year, the Mem Cup. He has that big game experience. Unfortunately, he has had some injuries along the way. He's healthy now, which was important for us to get him in healthy. The other part is he's a competitor. He's been a consistent 900 goalie throughout his career. He's certainly given our club fits, as we saw. I think it was a 2-1 overtime win in Regina just shortly after Christmas, the New Year's Day game. And he just gives you a chance every single night to win. I think if we look at our club, probably since November 22nd, I thought the position for us wasn't where it had been earlier in the year. And like I mentioned, it was an opportunity to, I think, you can really give your club a lot of confidence by in that position. Is probably the most important position in any sport, the goaltending position. You can even reflect back to last year and what Ian Scott was able to do for us. And we have a mandate here to try to defend the title, and we think Max gives us a real good opportunity to do that.
Hansi, I haven't talked to you a ton, but I was up at Emma Lake in August, spent a weekend with David Lederhaus, and everybody was talking Raider hockey all over Lakeland, which was a great feeling. It's been a while. And they knew you'd be good. But are you ahead of where you thought with this team this year?
There's a couple things. You always have the, we call it the hangover, I guess. The most important thing is, there's an old saying, you don't know what you don't know. And I think for our kids to understand what it takes to win, and what it takes to win consistently. Now, we lost a lot of firepower last year, notably Danton Hanoun and Noah Gregor, Brett Leeson, Parker Kelly. Like, that's a lot of goals, almost 100 out of your lineup, or 100.5. So we knew we'd probably have to play a little bit differently this year coming in. However, the leadership group we had, we've talked so much about our community, our environment, our locker room, and those guys understand what it takes to win. And I think they create a culture where there's an expectation that every single night you hunker in and do whatever it takes. And, I talked a little bit about the goaltending. I thought our goaltending was very, very good early in the year, and that gave us a chance every night, and we found a way to win every night. So I think the addition of Colleen gives us a little more speed and more depth. I think he's a guy that can still contribute and get to that 10-goal range where he was last year after kind of a tough start. And the other part is this is the time of year when guys really hunker in. I think the deadline's tough. The week leading up to it is tough for the players. There's a lot of anxiety and a lot of maybe insecurity for these young men. Now that it's over, I think we can focus and move forward.
Curtis, we've been talking about the Battle of Alberta and the Zach Kassian, Matthew Tkachuk thing. And, first, I want to get your take on that. You got to love that stuff's back in the game a little bit, at least between those two teams.
Well, we've been watching Kelowna Kamloops. I don't know if
that
you guys
too.
talked
Yeah.
about that game, a couple 5-on-5s, and then, of course, the subsequent suspensions and fines. The Battle of Alberta, you know what it is? It's rivaled. It always has been. It's back at the level it had been probably when we were a lot younger. I don't know what my take is on that. I think sometimes hockey has a way of players taking care of the game itself, and maybe that's a little bit of an old school mentality. I don't fault anybody for how it all happened. Sometimes you just got to pay the fiddler if you want to dance with the big boys.
There you go. But, with that, it's the hate in the game between the two teams. The fans love it. It creates buzz and excitement. And I go back to the playoffs last year. It was the greatest thing between Saskatoon and Prince Albert when you had Mark and Mitch and the media and doing their thing. And we got 10,000 people in Saskatoon in the arena for Game 6. It was unbelievable, right? And I talked to Mark after, and he's like, I probably should have taken that a little bit further. Maybe we could have got 15 in there. I know the communications and the marketing teams, it's tough because you don't want negative publicity if you put yourself out there and then don't win the series, but I love it. It's good for the game. Do you agree?
Well, that's it's funny we talk about scheduling now, and one of the primary things we want to do, whether it's Winnipeg, Brandon, Regina, Moose Jaw, Saskatoon, is continue to get those rivalry weekends. As I mentioned, Kelowna Kamloops over in British Columbia, and to have that energy and excitement. Sometimes we feel we've almost taken some of the characters out of the game. I remember being in Moose Jaw when Brent and Parker and Barry Webster would go back and forth in the media a little bit, and it brought a lot of excitement. I think our mascot took a beating in the parking lot or something like that.
Puckhead, yes.
Yeah, Puckhead, a little bit unfortunate there, and
she might have deserved it.
I'm not sure. I was a warrior then, and loyalty's everything. However, I do believe we did put out a little warrant, or we were sending the dog pound out after K9 at the time. Anyways, anytime you have that kind of energy, excitement, our games against Saskatoon this year have been tremendous. They've been tight, they've been close, and our last game after Christmas, their building, I think they had 6,000 or 7,000 people in there, and that's the kind of energy and excitement we need in our game.
Curtis, just to kind of circle back a little bit on kind of a hybrid between the two subjects that we've just touched on. So a couple of years ago in the WHL, when Regina was the host, if you recall, it was just unbelievable how many trades were made that year. I mean, you had three teams in the southern part of the province that all felt they could win, and a unique opportunity to be able to play in Regina, and a league record number of trades. And I think we would all agree that when you're dealing with young guys in school and whatnot, they're committed to these programs, and then all of a sudden, it's like at the drop of a hat, you sort of not turn their back on them, but now they're gone, and it's not really maybe sending the right message. On the other hand, now you've gotten to the point where you can't really trade those guys unless they waive their clauses. So we're really talking about older players and picks. It makes it difficult at the deadline for the teams to go out there and make those massive blockbuster trades, and you're not seeing as many of them. Do you think as a general manager that that's a good thing? Or do you think it limits the teams a little bit in their opportunity to really pile on and take a shot at that Memorial Cup? Like, where do you sit on that?
Well, I think we saw Winnipeg make a deal with Red Deer that included 4 second-round picks, and that's typically we see something like that out of the Ontario or Quebec League. And the Memorial Cup's an interesting animal. I got a lot of questions about that. I don't think Ian Scott was maybe his best, and with all due respect to Ian, because he was the goaltender of the year out here, and he did win us a championship. And I think he just had a couple tough games there for us because we were right there, I thought, with those teams. And it is a short tournament, and as we saw how Canada just won a gold off 2 legs and into the back of the net to come within 1 right away after Russia going up 3-1. The margin of error in those tournaments is so small and so slim. So I think what the trades, a couple of years ago, got a little out of control. Tri-Cities went after it. Portland went after it as well on the other side and grabbed some older players. And you don't want to be trading. However, if I look at the deal we just did with Regina, you've got a 19-year-old player who has been, a warrior in terms of how he's played for his club. And it's a club that's, John has made the commitment here to rebuild. He's restocked his shelves with a lot of high draft picks moving into this year's draft. For our club, we move a high draft pick and we move a 17-year-old, NHL radar player who, just the way it works in our depth chart wasn't quite getting the ice that he maybe could have deserved. Now, it's unfortunate that, he's going to have the surgery. However, he'll start the year fresh. And really that's what Regina, I believe, is looking for, that youth, that speed, that kind of player, plus the pick or picks, depending on Mac's return, that he can use in the future. And I think it's a deal where when I move an older player out, for an example, it's an opportunity for that player to maybe be part of special. Now, 3 years ago when we started our build, I asked our overage players, and Tim Van Stone, a Swift Current kid, said, I've been a Raider, I want to stay a Raider regardless. And we do believe that his presence here and his leadership was part of our journey and part of that path to success. So I'm not sure I answered the question completely. We do have to be mindful of the fact that school is very important, although nowadays most of these kids, and especially the sports school kids, are taking classes online. So that has become a little bit easier to transfer province to province, U.S. to Canada. And the other thing is been on a standard player agreement. I think most of us like to keep those, to keep and honor those commitments.
Curtis, we'll let you go. There are a few people busier than a hockey general manager. I know that. So thanks for the chat. I love the number 2 jersey up in the frame, by the way. Who dug that out for you? Was that Hunt stock, or did the Raiders have that tucked away under the stands?
Well, that was, I think my wife had it. That is my jersey from the 1985 team. You can see the Cooper CCM Labatt's Memorial Cup. I think Molson's on there too, but that's my original jersey. I had it framed somewhere in one of my moves, smashed the glass out of it, so just waiting to send it back. And then the other jersey up on top of the shelf, that was from when I joined the club, and the puck in the corner was the first win as a general manager. The kids brought that in for me, so pretty special memories on both sides.
I should mention, by the way, Chance Petruk, the talk of junior A hockey. Your mom's a Petruk. So would you guys be cousins, or are you an uncle of Chance? And your thoughts on the season he's having with Yorkton?
Well, actually, his dad is Jeff, ex-Regina Pat, I think a 50-goal scorer. So Jeff's my first cousin. And so
second
my
cousin.
Second, I'm not sure. But watched Chance a little bit when he played with the Warriors. Haven't had a chance to see him with Yorkton, but a skilled player. And it's good to see him have that success.
Bloodlines, Huntsy. Bloodlines. He doesn't know what to say to that. Curtis, thank you. Have a great day.
All right.
Peace.
Thanks for having me.
You bet.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.